Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone it is, wherever you in the world, it is your Lore Saviour. And today we are going to be unboxing and reviewing the starter set for the Walking Dead Universe RPG by Free League Publishing. Now, I've got a similar sort of project coming up with the actual core rules itself, but you're going to have to keep your eyes peeled for when that one appears. Now, I wasn't going to be looking at the starter kit because, quite frankly, there's not a lot in it that really interests me. I know there's some unique dice that seem a bit interesting, but I did think they were a bit on the pricey side of things. And there's another little gizmoid in there that I thought that would be a little useful. But for being about 30-ish quid, I thought that was a bit much for what was in there and what I actually needed. But last night, the 8th of August 2025, in the year of our Lord Talos, somebody on Discord, who I'm not going to mention by name because they have asked to be anonymous and I will respect their wishes, mentioned that on Zatu Games, the starter set for the Walking Dead Universe RPG was going for a rather nice discount, and sure enough, they said the truth. And they thought I would be interested in taking up the opportunity because they know I've been interested in covering a bit of zombie stuff and zombie TTRPGs on the channel recently. And they thought of me, which I thought was rather nice, and they were right about that discount, so I bought it and it arrived the next day. So thank you very much, anonymous Discord messenger. I really appreciate that. So yes, as part of Mission Zombotch, I'm going to be exploring a whole host of zombie TTRPG stuff, and if you've got no idea what that is, a video is going to appear up there now that's going to talk a bit more about that for you. But before you watch that video, I think we should carry on with this video and unbox it. And if you don't want to see the unboxing, or you just want to see what's inside, or what exactly I'm going to be reviewing, you can use the chapter themed in the description below, or click along on the video itself and see the bit that you're after. So let us unwrap the cunt here and see what's inside. Now, there isn't a lot of tape here, it's literally just one bit of sellotape that just wraps all the way around here. So this shouldn't be too long of an unboxing thing of itself, especially with my very pristine box opening knife. I mean, it's a butcher's knife, so I thought it would make sense for, you know, horror, butchers, you get what I mean. And I am going to be doing a similar video for the core rules of The Walking Dead of itself and the Games Master screen, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And the knife's not really helping me out a bit, because this is taped down as well. Ooh, spicy stuff. Okay, maybe I can cut it through a different way. Oh, it's not all the way around, it's literally just on the box flaps. So what can we do here? I'm going to do that away from me for no particular reason. Oh yeah, because that's not annoying at all, is it? Okay, that works because that begins to peel back like so. There we go, don't need to deal with the tape after all. Yep, I see the Walking Dead poking out the side, and as I deal with that, you should be able to see it too. It's upside down though. Cheeky. I can go live over there, and you get to look at the front cover before I can, you lucky bastards. The Walking Dead Universe AMC Role-Playing Starter Set, Free League, AMC Networks Publishing. Wowzers. And there's the back. Looks something like that without too much glare on there for you. And there's the front again. And there's some goodies inside. So let's see what it says. This is the starter set for the official The Walking Dead Universe role-playing game. In this game, you'll play as people struggling to survive in an unforgiving world. Exceptional challenges can appear from anywhere, from the lack of essential supplies, from conflicts brewing within the group, from hidden construction flaws in your safe haven, or from approaching walkers hungering for your flesh. Fight the dead, fear the living. This box set contains everything you need to start playing. A 40-page condensed rulebook. The game rules are based on the acclaimed Year Zero engine, but further developed and uniquely tailored for the Walking Dead Universe role-playing game. The 16-page booklet, The Wolves' Den, presenting the first full-length survival mode scenario for the game, because if you're not aware, the Walking Dead Universe role-playing game provides two different modes of play called campaign or free mode and survival mode, and basically the former is a campaign and the latter are one-shots or two-shots. So long and not so long, basically. 6 pre-generated characters to play. Carol, Gabriel, Glenn and Michonne from the TV series as playable pre-generated characters. A double-sided area map in format, 558mm by 432mm, depicting an area north of Atlanta, Georgia, and a region in Virginia. Which is interesting because Virginia does not have a map in the core book, so that might be useful for anyone who cares about putting their games in Virginia. 3 adventure maps in format, 432mm by 279mm, showing locations in the Wolf's Den scenario. 10 custom base dice and as many stress dice, so 10, specifically designed for the game. A threat meter to keep track of the threat from walkers and their surroundings, and that was the other little tidbit that I was curious about, because I think that would be useful for my little bear of little brains, because rather than making notes all the time. And then there's a warning on the back, manufactured in China, and all the other sort of legal shit. So this is wrapped around a bit of cellophane, as you might be aware, but I'm not going to go through this with my pristine box opening knife. I'm just going to do things old school, find a weak point and attack it with a fingernail and hope for the best. There we go. Lovely stuff. Unwrap that. Now I know that Free League have a bit of a good reputation for banner starter sets, and box sets that have all loads of goodies in here, but from what I'm aware, Free League's one for The Walking Dead isn't as up to their usual standard, I suppose. And we can have another look at the box without all that shiny cellophane shit on there. Lovely bit of artwork. I don't know who that's on the front. We've got an axe guy, we've got a gun guy, and we've got a gun woman with a load of civilians, I think. And then some artwork from the core book as well, with all the verbiage I've just read out to you. So let's just delicately get this lid off. Oh, it's got that fresh TTRPG product smell. Chemicals. Okay, so we have the custom dice. The Year Zero engine uses D6s. You're looking for 6s. That's basically it, really. The custom dice, black, standard, and then the red for stress die. You gain stress when bad things happen, when you get a wand and stuff, which can increase the threat level as you're playing along, which basically introduces the threat of walkers. We have, oh, and I've just popped one of the things out by mistake, oopsie. So that's the little stress marker thing there, and as I just said, as I picked that up, I poked that out. Might as well poke the other one out now. I'll fix that in a moment, and I'm presuming this little bag here is to attach the two ends together. So the idea that this works, I'm guessing, yeah, you've got a little rotating thing and then you spin that along. 1, 2, 3, etc. Throw away, do not eat. Desiccant silica gel, throw away. Gotcha. I can go in there. We've got a games catalogue by Free League, which has a thing of all their different games in there, which I'm not going to fucking bother reading out because that's not what we're here for. And quite frankly, who gives a shit? A website exists. You can do your own research. And the rest of it, I'm presuming, is the maps and shit. And I can't quite get this out easily because I'm looking at one of the pre-gen sheets, and it looks like it's a pinch too small. They kind of, the box, it's super snug is what I'm saying, and I feel that the box should have been a little bit bigger, so it's just easier to scoop them out rather than what I'm about to do. So I got interrupted by a bit of plastic, a bit of cardboard, sorry. You won't be able to see that, but it looks like it's a part of Finny What's It. Oh, and there was another one for this bit as well. That's where the bits of other plastic go in. Okay, cool, gotcha. So poke that out, poke that out. Okay, that can go with the rest of the rubbish. Very glamorous. So we'll go through these. I should put that over there so we have a table space. We'll go through these as they were presented upwards. So we have some sheets for Cecil / Cecilia Hart, Ailey / Isaac. Okay, so they've got male and female names here. That's a nice touch. Blossom / Solomon, Terry versus Terry with a Y or an I. Bonnie / Rooster. Okay. And then... Oh, I see some... Oh, okay, that was another NPC, but that one was upside reverse. Okay. Weird. So, double-sided, so... Personality and stuff, a list... I should probably show you this, shouldn't I? The personality of NPCs, their description, other bits and pieces, and their bits of stats there. Appearance, issue, drive, which I think is relevant to the game, not just something to add for role-playing. Talent, anchor, gear, and weapons. And each character in The Walking Dead has an anchor, a NPC, and a player NPC, so the whole group has got some sort of feeling towards each other and an NPC just to forcing you to like each other or to hate each other in the game rather than just relying on natural role-playing. But these are nice, these are all glossy and stuff. I don't think I ever use them because they look pretty nice and I don't want anything bad to happen for them. He says, watching them all fall on the fucking floor. Sorry, Holly, don't give me that look. And then we've got the TV show NPCs, which again, double-sided. We've got Carol. We've got Glenn. We've got Michonne, fan favourite. Just having a look at the stats on the back because, you know, pretty badass character. And Gabriel. And I have to say, this is a very odd choice of characters. At least from my knowledge of the comic book, because I haven't actually watched the TV show. And I've been reading a lot of the comics recently. Why isn't Maggie here with Glenn? Michonne is here, but not Therese or Ezekiel. Gabriel is here. I mean, is he any better in the TV show? Or why? I can't see why I'd ever want to play as him. Give him to a player. Why not Rick? Why not Daryl? Is that his name for the TV show? I mean, obviously they were going to put fucking Michonne here. Issue broken by the death of my son. I don't know if that's a spoiler for me in the fucking TV show or comics, but Michonne has daughters. She doesn't have a son. At least not that I'm aware of anyway. Carol is also weird as well because she dies fairly early on in the comics, so did they extend her life in the TV show? I don't know, I'm probably missing important bits of information here, but there's a peculiar collection of characters here, unless they're much better in the TV show. I mean, Glenn's fucking awesome, so... Okay, let's have a look at this map, because this feels kind of thick, poster size. We've got Georgia, which is the same one that's in the fucking core book 3 times. And then Virginia... Oh, is it double-sided? Okay, so... It's going to be fun to open up. Oh, is that it? I thought I unfolded a bit more. It feels like it should unfold a bit more, but no, that's apparently it. Really? Okay, fair enough. I'll trust the process. So, sorry for the mic being in the way. There's not much I can do about that. That works. So we've got Georgia there, which if you open up the core book in 3 separate places, front and back cover, and towards the latter end of the core rules, you've got this big old map. Seeing Westminster there, and I'm not thinking of the British Westminster, it's fucking weird. So you've got all this map, so the idea is that when you're playing, you, the games master, have got to put a group somewhere on the map. You put 3 factions somewhere else on the map, and you have like a large walker swarm, and you just roll for dice to have them just wander around aimlessly, randomly, sorry. And on the back you have Southwest Virginia, which where some of the latter part of the comics, and presumably the TV show, ends up. I also think a fair amount of the Telltale games ends up there as well. I'm not entirely sure, but it would have been interesting if it was in the core book. one side had Virginia, the other side had Atlanta. Then you got the map. Psst, he says, realising there's more than one. That's one. Oh, there's 3 maps. Well, damn. There's another one. You actually saw that before I did. Lucky things. And the 3rd map, which I can't unfold, looks a little like that. Sort of an intersection bridge sort of thing. If that doesn't look like an ambush, I have no idea what does. So yeah, they're alright, I guess. And we've got 2 booklets, which are very nicely presented. We have this red one, the rules. Oh, and there's got solo play in the rules here as well. Because I know the core book does at the back. Or maybe they're just like full credits for the game. Nope, it's just mentioning it there because it's part of the actual game line. Cool. How to describe the quality of this for how nice the presentation is. If you've ever seen, like, a show or a drama or a musical and you can buy one of those program brochures, it kind of feels like that. Just a smidge nicer, and this keeps on an end opening up where the staples are. So yeah, basically you've got everything that you want to play with, the stress die, pushing rolls, using skills. It doesn't have character creation, I wouldn't have thought. Just what you need to know, using those particular handouts if you so wish. Damage and healing, critical injuries, other hazards, explosives, hungry and tired, gear, fighting the dead, stuff to do with walkers, because combat with humans and combat with walkers is somewhat different, and I kind of like how they handle that. And then you've got like a D6 roll to simulate walker attack. So what that means is, if you're unaware, is that you roll 2d6, but you treat one number as the tens and the other as the units. So for example, I'm actually going to open up these dice now. Seems like a good time as any. We'll use the standard one to demonstrate this point. Just to show that one here. That it's got 6 on it. So if I roll these dice and say that we failed to dodge being hit by a walker, and we get 1, 1, 11, we go here. They come after you, but you got away, take 1 point of stress. I'll do another example. 1, 3, I'm going to call that. I should have used the 2 different coloured dice to prove this point, but whatever. 1, 3, they have you cornered, you know it's probably the end, but somehow you survive. Describe what happens, take 1 point of stress. And do 1 more for the power of luck. 51, as we move up the chain, you are bitten in the throat, blood everywhere, you die. No, that's it, that's what it says. Because some of these are really fucking lethal, and I love that. I know that's not going to be very popular with a lot of people, but you're playing a game in a zombie apocalypse. What the fuck do you expect? Shit like this happens all the fucking time. I'm going to get the other set of dice out now. Yeah, these are nice. The dice are rather nice quality. Don't know why I did that, but hey fucking ho. They roll nicely, they've got a nice bit of weight to them. They're nicely made, but I wasn't prepared to spend £15 a pop, 1/5, over a set of 10 dice. That just seems a bit fucking silly to me. And then at the back you've got like running the game, and the difference between main and like the campaign and scenario mode, and then it just ends with 2 things at the back. And then you have the survival mode scenario, the Wolf's Den, and as I'm picking this up, this seems really fucking small. I'm hoping that doesn't reflect on the quality of the scenario itself, but it does raise a bit of a red flag if I'm being totally honest. But hopefully I'm mistaken with that and it seems to be decent. And before I talk about what the rest of this review is, I suppose I should put the threat meter shit together, these lovely bits of cardboard. I'm going to line this up on one because I'm a bit of a freak. I was just having a look to see what that piece looked like. Obviously to represent the finger that is being missed from that. So I'm going to line that up as best as I can. And I think these are 2 because there's 1 each side. No, it is not. So one of these is a spare. Or does it go in like that? No, it doesn't. Okay, so it clips in like that. And now you can properly, or rather I can, properly spin that along. Which is rather nice. And of course it's multi-purpose. If I ever want to do something like a round or whatever, that works as well. So yeah, that's basically the whole product here in a quick little unboxing, glossing through format. But the remainder of this video is going to be having a look at my thoughts and opinions on the survival mode scenario, The Wolf's Den. I'm going to be breaking one of my rules of this and actually reviewing this without having to run it, and there's a couple of reasons for that. But just a bit of context, whenever I review a book or a supplement or something of that nature, I will have to have used it in some form or another, either as like a lore enthusiast for some of the older stuff I've done on the channel that I've run in adventure, or basically I've had to have used it in a game in some form or another, or have a great understanding with the material inside before I just vomit my opinion on it, because I could just gloss through here and just go, oh, this looks really small, it's shit, blah blah blah, you know, because that's not very good. Now, the reason why I'm not wanting to run this is, one, because I'm quite busy and I've got a lot going on at the moment, and I want to get this video out sooner rather than later, but I also want to see how Free League presents the survival mode scenarios, because it puts a lot of effort in the core rules of how to do like a campaign or free mode, like coming out with the factions, the names, the walkers, and all putting them all over the different maps. There's a lot of prep and planning that goes into it from what Free League wants you to do if you take the rules as written. But when it comes to actually planning a survival mode scenario, you get like 2 pages. And that's it. So I actually want to see what is expected of you if you read as written from Free League, how to set up a survival mode scenario. How different is it going to be compared to like the main bulk of its Games Masters chapter? This is more like a learning research sort of thing, and then once I've read it, I'll be able to have a better understanding about how to go about doing things, because one of the things I am planning is a Walking Dead campaign, and see what I can take away from this and apply it to my other Walking Dead experiences. As I was editing the previous section of this video last night, I was almost feeling bad that I wasn't prepared to run this game, that I knew that somebody would pull me up on it, and I'm doing a disservice for this review, despite how busy and tight my schedule is at the moment. And I was beginning to think of a way of like how I could squeeze that into my schedule, and maybe if I can make another 2 videos out of it or something, which is always a good motivator for these sorts of larger projects. But then I actually sat down and read it this morning, just after I had my breakfast, and I'm not going to lie, I feel a little insulted and baffled by how little the scenario presents of the Games Masters to run this scenario, and I'm using that word very fucking loosely here, and how it expects the players just to take up the mantle so much of all the role-playing, all the driving forward of the plot and everything else, when quite frankly the Games Master kind of needs to poke and prod players to go and do certain things sometimes. Even though it is really good that it encourages players to lead the action, but that's all that is. Like, the scenario synopsis sort of thing is pretty straightforward. It first of all assumes that you are familiar with the Walking Dead TV series to such an extent that you know what happens in Season 5. Now, I haven't watched the TV show, as I've mentioned already, and probably in other videos, so I've got no real basis to attach myself to that. Like, I recognise some of the characters in the pre-gens, because I've read the comics and I'm familiar with them from that angle, but as I said, I haven't watched the TV series, and I'm not really prepared to do that either, because I don't see why I should be engaging with 11 seasons when most people drop off in 6 or 7. And remember, Season 5 is just before that drop-off point. Like, that's just a lot of effort on my part, and I think a lot of people may just be purchasing this because they like a zombie game, or the Walking Dead comics, or the Telltale games or something, but that's sort of waffle that I should really be saving for my review of the main core book. So it assumes in this scenario that it is within the time frame of Season 5. Timing, schedules, that doesn't really come into question here. There's nothing that gives you any indication of how far along into the apocalypse we are. You're just supposed to know what's going on here, and it's also assumed that you are using the pre-gens, that you can't really make your own here. Even though, if one of your characters dies somehow, you're supposed to pull from a pool of NPCs to enter the fray, but it doesn't give you a list of NPCs to work with that either. The idea is that somebody recently joined your group and they fall in love with somebody who's been part of the group for ages, and they run off after stealing a bunch of supplies. And they go take up in a cab somewhere, and the game session starts with all the different players like scouting out the area, and they find the tent and they recognise it, etc. and so forth. Which I understand, getting straight into the action, but if I was doing this, I would have liked to have established a bit more of a relationship with these two characters. Like, why should the players care for these two so much? Because there's going to be at least one person that's going to be like, well, they fucked off, let them have it. But then again, they stole all these supplies, so there's a bit of an urgency there. Again, it's just assuming that players are going to care. They may have interpretations of these characters from what's written, what's provided, and how they want to take the character forward. To go, you know what, fuck you lot, you not can't really survive on your own for so long. But I digress. It assumes the players are going to be invested and to be playing along with the ride and playing the game a certain way, which I'm not a huge fan of, especially when the whole ethos of the adventure, particularly in its last page, and the rules of the whole, the game, encourage you to do differently. So the session starts and you're investigating this tent, and it makes a point saying that if you succeed on a scout roll, you can see there's a big old cut that's been made through into this tent with a knife, which again I think is kind of weird, because it's not subtle, it's not something that you can't avoid, it's a big old cut in a tent. Like, how could you not see that? I think the thing that would be warranted of the scout roll is for the walker inside. Like, is there a scout roll or survivor roll or something to see whether they recognise it's a walker or not, or they think it's somebody sleeping. Now that would be a very interesting scenario, I feel. But at some point they then work out that these tire tracks, and it takes them to this village where they can do a bit of scavenging, and depending on how well they do or don't do, they can meet an NPC who may or may not steal the group's RV, or they can take them off to this camp called Evergreen, where the wolf den folk have kidnapped our characters in distress, I suppose. And the thing with the wolves den folk, or the wolves, or whatever they're called, they sort of like go to more animalistic practices and have a big W on their forehead. There isn't much to go with here, so whilst there is a bit of information in the rules here, from my understanding of The Walking Dead, and particularly what I've just finished reading with the comics, it sounds a little bit like the Whisperers, but just a bit more shit, because they've got a W on their head, because that's a very animalistic thing to do, because animals are known to doing sort of things like that. I've got no connection there, so it's a bit more difficult for me to latch on to that. You're given like maps and things to scout at the area, you're given like little landmarks for people to go and explore, and that's the end of the adventure. I'm trying not to be facetious here, but that's literally where it ends. Like, it gives suggestions of like, oh, the players could do this, they could do that, the GM should make a dice roll, and it's this number, that's how many people are fighting against these walkers. It's kind of like the governor's thing, but again, not as interesting. Or if it rolls a certain number, then this girl called Rebecca and somebody else is dead. Or if you get another number, they actually become a member of this group and they don't want to leave, so you've kind of failed. But it's a bit weird that's all decided on a dice roll rather than the actions of the players. And if the players get caught trying to sneak in, they can be killed off with another dice roll, or they may become slaves, or whatever that may well be. And that's just it. Like, there's lists of NPCs and what they're strong and what they're not so strong at. They have their issues and their secrecies and their drive, but there isn't much motivation here. There isn't really anything for me to twist and bend to encourage players to get excited for, other than it's assumed that the players are going to be invested in these characters because some of them are linked together, because I think Rebecca's got a child, and if anybody picks the child character, there's going to be a bit more motivation there for sure. And it's also a bit weird that if you don't have the 5 players, it tells you you've got to hand the sheets out in a specific order. But what happens if you do really badly and you run out of pre-generated characters? I mean, it would be a bit weird to introduce the 4 special ones on the TV show, because what are they going to be fucking doing there? So the games master's got to do a bit more legwork to make the scenario work. Like, what's the wolves deal? Why do they capture people? Why are they making slaves of people? Why are they making people fight against walkers? Why do they do the thing with their forehead? I shouldn't have to do external research and watch too much of a fucking TV series just to be able to play a 16 page scenario. And yeah, I get it that a lot of scenarios, modern or old otherwise, they do give you like, oh, if X thing happens, this happens, or if you do this, this other thing happens. But there's usually some form of conclusion, definitive or otherwise. But it is literally, just as the scenario is taken off, it ends. And it says, oh, let the players decide what happens. Don't try to railroad them into an action, which is fair enough. But for a 1 or 2 shot sort of scenario, you are going to try and gear them towards something a bit more, just to keep the pace rolling. But there isn't anything. It's assuming that the players will want to go and willingly go and rescue these people because that's what the scenario requires. And I feel that can cause a bit of friction if people, especially when you get to the end of it and a GM makes a dice roll and is like, oh, I want to be with them now. Why? You don't even have that. You don't even get told why Rebecca suddenly wants to join them. She just doesn't want to go back. You, the games master, have to come up with some cock and ball answer. And even more frustratingly is that in my mind, I could do all of this in an hour. Like half an hour for the camp stuff and another half an hour at like the Wolf's Den camp. Right, and I'm being really fucking generous here, like bits of role-playing discussion, maybe for a bad role where walkers come in, maybe a bit more conversation with the other NPC or NPCs further down the road. If you fail a particular role, they sort of appear and they may or may not attack you. But it gives a suggestion that if you're stretched for time, you can actually just start the game at the Evergreen camp. So you don't investigate for that person, you don't have the encounter in the village, you don't have those walker attacks, you don't do any exploration really outside of this camp. And I would understand that if there was actually a lot more meat to go with. It's just a few lettered landmarks, some NPCs with some information on them, but that's it. I just don't get what to do with that, really. That's not a one-shot. It's barely barely half an hour of gameplay. There isn't even much in terms of the beginning, like, oh, what you can do to introduce the characters. There's some ideas just to introduce everybody into it. But of course, the game doesn't want you to do that. It doesn't want you to do any planning. It just basically wants you to drop everyone into the action and just expect everybody to play along and wander around aimlessly. It's like, no, you've got to give them something to care about other than the fact that the scenario dictates that you should care about them. It was a very frustrating read, and I just can't believe just how lackluster this is. It's absolutely bonkers. Which sort of does bring down my whole opinion of the starter set as a whole, unfortunately. Because keeping in mind that the maps, some of the maps go with this scenario. You got the Atlanta map and then you got the Virginia map, which part of it goes for that scenario as well. What's left? Some pre-gens for that scenario that either you have to play a certain way because the game tells you to. You're not really allowed to plan much around it. You've got the quick start rules, which is fine if you're using that to get into the game, or you're wanting to like send that as like a handout to players so they don't have to read the entire book. But then again, the entire book isn't really that much larger than the quick start rules, which just sort of leaves you the special NPC characters, which makes up a weird collection of the survivors that you follow around with the entire TV show and all the comics. The dice, which are nice, and the little spinner tracker thing, which is also nice. But that thing isn't needed, and it's made out of cardboard, and I feel a bit annoyed that it doesn't sit flush on a table. It's sort of an angle sort of thing. And given the price point, it's sitting around 25 to 30 quid. That's the price that you would be paying if you were to get both dice sets, because each one is about 15 quid a pop. So I suppose it's a bit of a bargain if you want all the other bits of miscellaneous stuff as well, for a bit of a bargain. And I said I was only going to be buying it because I was able to get it a bit cheaper than that. It was like closer to 20 quid. So I'm really grateful for that person that messaged me about it. It's just a shame that everything that's there is just a bit meh, bit lackluster. I wish there could have been a bit more in there, like a couple more maps or some cardboard cutout things, or I don't know, some additional tools or tables or something to get excited about. And even the whole packaging is a bit weird, because as I was getting this back out again this morning to read, everything that's inside is already beginning to bend because it's just a bit too big for the box. So they're not really treating the whole packaging element of that as best as they could either. So it just feels very meh, honestly, which is a shame. I mean, I'm glad I got the dice, and I do like the little tracker thing. I just wish that everything else just was a bit more engaging and interesting. So if it's on a bargain somewhere and you want a fairly cheap-ish way to get the dice and a little accessory and a bunch of other goodies that you may or may not include in your games, grab it. Otherwise, I think I'd just skip it and go straight to the core book, honestly, which I'll be doing a much fuller review in time. But tell me about your thoughts and opinions about the Walking Dead starter set. Do you have it? Are you going to get it now? If you already have it, what do you think of it? Do you think I'm totally off the mark with it? Or do you think it's just a complete pile of wank? Let me know in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, you can go and purchase all sorts of zombie-related goodies through the special affiliate codes that I've provided for you. And if you purchase them with those specific links, I get some of the money back, which is absolutely amazing shit because you get books, I get books, and you get content for free, which is absolutely amazing shit. But what if you got those books already, but you want to support your Lore and Saviour financially still? Well, you can copy and paste the magical affiliate codes down there, copy and paste that into the URL of any book on Drive4RPG and any of its other sister sites, and I get some of the money back that way as well, which is amazing shit. But I understand that times are hard on all of us at the moment, money-wise, and you may not be able to do that as much as you'd like. So if you can do that, that's absolutely great. But if you can't do that, that's absolutely fine as well. But you should definitely do regardless. It's give the video a little cheeky thumbs up if you like this sort of content and the video as a whole. Subscribe to the Lore by Night channel and share this video with any and everyone who loves what I do. And I'll see you on the next upload, wherever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell.